Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Let's start by giving tzedakah. And we're going to continue davening for all the hostages and all the soldiers and all the Yidden Yisroel should come home safely, sound, and healthy. And we're going to focus today on San Ben Sarah. San Ben Sarah should be healthy and safe and should be good. Just before we start, I'm gonna give over a story that connects with yesterday's class that we were discussing how the Rebbe Rashab was saying if a person says it's not shaykhim to learn, whatever excuse we give ourselves for not being able to learn, it's totally false. And he explains, the Rebbe Rashab explains, he goes, because like it says in Yevamis, I think. Let's see. It says basically, if you have an issue, go learn Torah and I'll make you better. In Eruvin. Yeah, I saw what it say in Eruvin. It says, Chash, Gufa, Yasak with Torah. Yeah, Chash Resha, you have a weakness in your head, weakness in your body, Yasak with Torah, learn Torah. So the Torah is going to be the one that helps you. So you can't say, so we can't say to ourselves that we're not shaykh to Torah, we're not able to learn Torah, I'm not a learner, things like this, chas v'shalom. So a story that brings out this point, and it brings it down in the back of this book. If anyone has the green version, it's a very, very nice story. It's a story about the chassid. He was a salt merchant. His name skips me right now. And basically the story goes that he wasn't very smart. He unfortunately didn't really get a chance to learn in yeshiva. His parents became an orphan at a younger age before he really got a chance to learn. And he had to go to make money to survive. Baruch Hashem, he was able to be a successful businessman, he was a salt merchant. And basically, so back in the day, the altar would give over a maimer, give over chassidus, and there'd be different people who would go around sharing the maimer. And so they came to his town. I think it was Rahil Paracha came to his town, and he gave over the maimer, and this guy was listening. And he didn't understand. And he went, so he asked him to explain to him again. And he explained to him, and it didn't work. He just didn't get it. And he realized he wasn't getting it. And it bothered him. He was trying to learn. He really wanted to understand it, and it wasn't working. So he came to the Alter Rebbe to get a bracha. And when he went to the Alter Rebbe to get a bracha, he asked Alter Rebbe, told him the story, and he said, like it's not working over here. So I would have thought, when I first heard the story, this story blew my mind. When I first heard the story, I would have thought the Alter Rebbe would have been nice to him. Poor guy, he's trying, it's not working, I'll give you a bracha, it's going to work. The Alter Rebbe didn't do that. He said to him, Ein davar oimed b'fnei haratzin. Nothing stands in the way of will. Meaning, if you really want it, you'll get it. I felt when I heard that, it was very disheartening. It's such a rough thing to say. The reason why you didn't manage to understand the Maimon is because you don't really want to understand the Maimon. But that's not what the Alter Rebbe meant. The Alter Rebbe meant there's a deeper level within you. And this is a very important message for all of us. That we come and tell ourselves, and we set ourselves a standard, we live in a certain way. And we think this is where we're holding, and this is as much I can do. And we have to realize there's a lot more to us than we even imagine. And this is what the Alter Rebbe was sort of telling him. And another example of this is like when you go to the army, the first thing they do is they break you down. And they get you to do things that just destroys you. And the reason is not because they just want to destroy you. The reason is because they want to build you up to be the person who they know you can be. Because they know if they don't do that first, you're always going to get stuck with your preconceived notions of yourself and preconceived limitations of yourself. So you first have to break you down. And this is what the Alter Rebbe was doing to him. He's saying, you can do this. See? Like you don't need a bracha from me. You don't need my help. You need to push. You think you're not capable. You are capable. And ended up, he was able to. He went back home. He said to his family, you take over the business. I'm going to go over this. I'm going to learn this. And he spent quite a bit of time, slowly, but he did. And he started to understand it. And he changed. It says about him that he started off, he was like a piece of wood, plank of wood. Nothing. It's dead. In the end, the deepest chassidus of the Mittler was written for him. Imre Bina, if I'm not mistaken, was written for him. And the lesson, of course, is a very important one. We have to recognize that Torah is something we naturally connect to. And if we're having a hard time, we have to figure out what the problem is. The problem is not ourselves. The problem is not the Torah. The problem is the procedure getting from us to the Torah. Because us and Torah go one on one. And this goes a lot of things in life. We have to make sure we're not a good judge of character to ourselves if what we're saying about ourselves is true. When it's negative. When it's positive, should be the worst of our issues. But that's stum. That's whatever. That's the story. Beautiful story, and it's a beautiful lesson for all of us. We should push ourselves and recognize we can do a lot more. And always speak to a friend or mashpia to have guidance where to go. Now, in the new Umaayan Yud Zayin, we're going to be discussing. Until now, we've been discussing a person knows how to learn and the issues that come with that, the negative, the shtus of that. Now we're going to talk about business people and people that work and how to approach working, making money, and things like this. Let's see. Perek Aleph. Business people, they spend the whole day working. They're not shaykh to other things. To have pleasure in other things. They're totally consumed by their business. Using maybe a little bit of an extreme example, but we can extrapolate for ourselves. There's someone that's totally consumed the business. They don't have any typos, they don't care for anything. They're just about the business. Now, working and going and doing business, this is totally kosher. No issues with that. And there's a requirement. You need to go to work. Like the rabbi say in the Mishnah, it's nice learning with acting like a normal person. Derech Eretz, just being normal, going to work, making money, things like this. However, yesh bazeh kama shtusim mitzad hayetzer hamavirim es adam al daite val das kainei. But there's a shtus, there's an issue that gets involved with this. Mitzad itself, by itself, it's good. Go to work, it's perfectly fine, perfectly normal. Even says in Pirkei should do it. Make money. And these things are all good. But now we're going to discuss the Yetzer Haras that come into this, the shtusim that come into it, and that can make it not healthy. V'hainu, meaning, inyan riboy hatirda be'esek. And what is he talking about? The bother when it comes to work, the consumption that we have with work, that we're totally involved, we're totally being able to have that ability to separate ourselves. Now is work, now is not work. And I can separate the two. And that's the challenge, that to be able to separate yourself. Shemutrad bazeh yom v'layla, that causes us in a unhealthy situation, we're totally consumed by work day and night. Comes to Shabbos, people only thing talking about is the work. Come home, only talk about his work. Ad shemoineo eisai milimon ateo umilehispalol betzibur lekavim pirshamilos al pi pashut al kopanim. Or to the extent that it gets in the way of our learning Torah, of our Judaism, and when it comes to davening and being able to daven properly, saying the words and understanding, we're totally consumed by it. Mipnei shemedame benafshe, because we think to ourselves, sh'al yedei zeh, that through being totally consumed with our business, sheyisakev b'tfilah lishmoya ba'aznav mashu meitzi b'fiv, that he's going to stop, not going to pay attention to what he's actually saying. V'kavana pshuta, or simple kavana kanal, or lispal b'tzibur, or lisakev zman lumen Torah, or to daven with a minyan, or to make a shiur of learning. Because you're going to lose out by doing this. For that time, it could be working and making money. So this is a big, big mistake. And the mistake is that we get caught up. I don't have time to daven properly, learn properly. And there's a lot of levels on this. We might say to ourselves, what do you mean? I have a shiur every day and I daven every day. What's the big deal? So it's true and that is good. when we have to be sensitive to ourselves, like we've been talking about till now, when you become sensitive, you start to analyze where does this fit in, and where does this apply to me? How do I do this? But it could be a lifestyle schedule that we're not really scheduling in the amount of davening and learning we should, or Judaism that we should, or it is when we're doing it, we're getting distracted a lot, and we're not really working on ourselves to not get distracted. Things like this. There's a lot of ways of this expressing itself. The kasher ha'adam yasim libay v'daitei, when a person will be sensitive and they'll pay attention. Lira says anasa itay, to see what happens b'chlalos eilam, in the world around us. We see plenty of people, if you'll notice, Allah yireh leinayim asher kam pamim, we'll see very clearly that there's many times yelech v'darchei hamischar v'yishmar hadavarim v'itam b'zmanam v'yisasek harbe v'lo yarviach mu'uma oy gam yafsid. You'll see that sometimes you do everything exactly the way it's supposed to do. You'll do your business the way it's supposed to be. You go to work on time. You know, if you're working, and this really applies more to earning a business or business commission, you do all the right things, everything according to the textbook. And there'll be times where you won't make any money off of it. You might even lose. Over ma'at zman, and with a little bit of time, over mi'ut asek, and sometimes you do nothing, you barely anything, any effort. Yarviach, you'll make a lot of money. Vimkein, and if so, mi yoima sheba akava yafsid. So how could you say? And he's trying to use a logical proof. How could you say, based off this imperial evidence, that we see it clearly, and sometimes you do nothing and you make a lot of money, sometimes you do everything and you make no money? So why would you say that you're going to lose out at the time of davening and learning? Maybe maybe it's better for you. You won't put in a lot of effort in your business. With the help of Hashem, Yisbarach, with a little bit of time, you could be successful. I'm going to explain more later on. Meaning, he's saying, if you pay attention to yourself, and in the book of from Robert Kremenizer, I have it here somewhere for what it's called. It's about Shar B'Tachin. One of the things he talks about over there, and he said it a few times before, when he's talked for us, he said he's seen businessmen that are the dumbest people you've ever met, and they're one of the richest people you've ever met as well. And sometimes you see the smartest people as well, and you sometimes see smartest people the poorest. And this thing is not a clear system. We don't know how it works. But what we're saying is that we think to ourselves, we foolishly think that if I spend less time connecting to Hashem, davening and learning, we don't say it in these words, of course, because that would never work. But we say it in our actions and sort of our lifestyle, that spending time davening and learning is wasting my time. I could be making more money. I could be doing more things. And what he's saying is, if you pay attention to life, you'll see that it's not up to you. Of course, you got to do what you've got to do, mitzad teva, by nature, following the dictates of nature. But you'll recognize that it's not because of what you did. That's perfectly in sync. Sometimes you'll do a lot of work, you'll get a little bit. Sometimes you do a little work, you get a lot. And therefore, taking away from your davening and learning, taking away from your Judaism to be able to make more money, it doesn't make sense. But and specifically, if you wouldn't forget about Hashem, that Hashem is one that gives us the strength to make the living. And it's the blessing of Hashem specifically that makes us successful financially, makes us wealthy. That's and the actual work, the business, it's only about making the vessel. In what the bracha will be able to dwell. Your job when we go to work is let Hashem, is make a keli so Hashem can put his bracha inside. Aval bata ikar, the main thing is not your work, it's berachas Hashem, it's Hashem's blessing. And this is a very hard concept to internalize, but it's something we got to work on, to recognize that it's not what I do that makes the money. It's Hashem's bracha. And tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, I'll say a story, how it connects to this, how I saw it in my personal life, this idea, or how I saw how I was looking at it wrong. So let's finish it off. If Hashem is the one that's giving the blessings, so I should be giving over to Hashem. He's the one that's going to help me get the blessings. Darf doch sein übergegeben, der Iker zum Malkus. He has to give himself over mainly to Hashem, to godliness, because that's the bracha. The bracha is from Hashem. Of course, we're saying you have to do a kli, you have to make the vessel, you have to go to work and do those things. But if those things are secondary to the bracha, so you do what you got to do. But when you finish, you can clear your mind. When you can daven, when it's time to daven, you can daven. When it's time to learn, you can learn, and you're not distracted. Shehu zanu mafanis. So he said that Hashem is the one giving us our sustenance. Barak terichim kalila, that we have to make a vessel for this. Who ha'isek, and that's the business, that's the work. Aval dai b'meut, it's askus gamkein, but it'll be enough even a little bit. We're making it clear. Hashem will take care of the rest. So this is a very, very, very powerful idea, and we have to something we have to think about, internalize, and to recognize within ourselves, and try to make this part of our reality. That recognizing that Hashem is giving the bracha, I'm nothing to worry about. I just want to make my clear. I got to do my job. I'm going to work or open the business, whatever it is that naturally works, but not to, God forbid, lose time over the important things of davening and learning and things like this. Have an amazing day.